Okay. So hope you can see my screen. Fine. Okay. So the next
Yes, ma'am.
topic that we are going to see is Bayes' theorem. It is one of the important theorems. Okay, and many powerful classifiers can be built using this Bayes' theorem. Maybe when we look into the machine learning concepts, at least after introducing the normal distribution, we will revisit this again, okay, and see how powerful classifiers we can build. Okay, so the formula, so this is also called as Bayes rule or Bayes theorem, and one more term they use, okay, a Bayes formula. Okay, so eh, all the three mean the same. Okay, so it says like this, okay, probability of B given A is equal to probability of A given B into probability of B divided by probability of A. Okay, so what Bayes theorem actually says is that if I wanted to compute a conditional probability, I can see we are relating the probability of B given A to the probability of A given B. Okay, the symmetric nature of this one. Okay, so we are trying to compute probability of B given A in terms of probability of A given B. Okay. So why this has to be correct? Okay, so this is a very simple proof. Okay, we have seen that the probability of A intersection B, okay, where A and B are two events. Okay, you can write this as probability of A given B into probability of B. This is what we have seen in the last class, right? So this probability of A into B, we can write it as probability of B intersection. This intersection operator is commutative. That is A intersection B is equal to B intersection A. So we can write this probability of A intersection B is equal to probability of B intersection A. So if you write it that way, so you will get this one, probability of B intersection A is equal to probability of B given A into probability of A. Okay, so now just eliminate the middle part, equate the left hand side and the right hand side. So you are trying to find probability of B given A as probability of A given B into probability of B divided by this P of A. Okay, so that way we get this Bayes theorem. Okay, so let's take an example. Okay, toss a coin 5 times. Okay, and H1 is an event that represents the first toss is heads. Okay, and HA is another event which says all 5 tosses are heads. Okay, okay, I showed the answer. Okay, so what is the probability that P of H1 given HA? Why this is 1? Okay, I say that. So you have 2 events. Okay, probability of okay, you have 2 events, H1 which is the first toss is heads and HA is all 5 tosses are heads. Okay, and I am saying probability of H1 given HA is equal to 1. Why? Or is it some other value? Anyone who wanted to try? Anyone? What is the meaning of this conditional probability? Can anyone expand and say? I mean, how do you interpret? How do you feel? Okay, how do you visualize this probability? Or how do you say this in an novice words?
Ma'am, if the condition HA is occurred, what is the probability of getting H1?
Yes, exactly. Oh, who is this?
Sandhya, ma'am.
Sandhya, great Sandhya. So what we say, what is the probability of getting the first toss as heads, given that all the five tosses are heads? Okay, that means that this has already happened. I say that all the five tosses are heads. Then what is the probability of the first toss be is heads? It is certain, right? Because I have already said all the five tosses are heads. Right, so I don't have any probable event here, so it is equal to 1. What is the other way? What is the probability of HA given H1? I mean, you should not take this much time, right? So we wanted to find the probability of HA given that the first toss is heads. Okay, so I'm not bothered about the first toss. Okay, all that I do not know is the rest of the four tosses. Okay, so either I would get head, or it is assuming that it is a fair coin, and each heads and tail is point five point five. So we'll have point five into point five into point five into, I mean, four times. Okay, so it is 1 by 2, 1 by 2, 1 by 2. 4 times means what? You will get 1 by 16. Okay. So using Bayes rule, let's see how we can calculate this. Okay, so I wanted to find probability of H1 given HA. Okay, so at the end I should be able to get this answer 1. Okay, but I wanted to substitute the values in this formula and find out whether I'm able to get this value. Okay, so we have found out that the probability of HA given H1 is 1 by 16. What is the probability of H1? What is the probability of H1?
Ma'am, 5 by
Anyone? Huh? 5 by
32.
5 by 32. Why 5 by 32? H1 is simply the first toss is head, okay, and all the tosses are independent, isn't it, Sandhya?
Yes, ma'am.
All the tosses are independent. That means that I need not find any dependency, okay? So it is simply 1 by 2. Okay, so
Okay.
in the first toss, I can either get head or tails. Okay, so it is 1 by 2. Is it fine?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what about this probability of HA? So here you are considering all the five tosses. Okay, so what will be the sample space size? 2 power 5, isn't it? Because
32.
yes, yes,
32.
yeah, 32, exactly. Thank you. May I know who is this? Das?
Jagan, ma'am. Jagan, ma'am.
Jagan, great Jagan. Okay. So you have, okay, 32 is the sample space size. And out of 32 different outcomes, how many outcomes can have all the five tosses to be hits? You have only one choice, right? In the first toss, I am getting head. Second toss, I am getting head. All the five tosses. Okay, so there will be hutch five times for only one outcome, right? So out of 32, you will get only one outcome with all five tosses. So the probability of HA will be 1 by 32. Okay, so when you substitute, what do you get? 1 by 16 into 1 by 2 divided by 1 by 32. Okay, so you will cancel everything and you will get 1. Right, so in both the way, we get the same answer. Okay, and this is the interesting story I really like about this base formula. Okay, so remember when we started this course, okay, I was saying, I mean, when I was discussing the applications of probability, I was saying, suppose, so what is the probability? I was talking about COVID-19, right? So if I take a test for COVID-19 and if I am told that I'm COVID positive, okay, what is the percentage or how much I can believe that I really have COVID? Okay, so this is a similar problem. Okay, so this is a mere cut copy paste from one notes. Okay, so please don't feel bad because of this word you. Okay, wherever you have this you, just replace it with, I mean, you can say me. Okay, so I'll refer as I. Okay. So consider a routine screening test for a disease. Okay. Suppose the frequency of the disease in the population is 0.5%. The test is highly accurate. Okay, with 5% false positive and 10% false negative rate. Okay, and I have taken a test and the result is positive. Okay, what is the probability that I have the disease? Okay, so I have taken the test. Should I be really stressed about this positive result? Okay, so that is the question. Okay, so let's work out. Okay, there are three ways by which we can see this machine. Now the test is highly accurate. Okay, what is false positive? When you take a test, okay, the test results could be positive or negative. Okay, positive means I have the disease, negative means I do not have the disease. Okay, so when it is false positive, that means that the test result is positive. Okay, and that is false. Do you understand? The test result is positive, but that is false. That means that I do not have a disease. I do not have a disease, but the test says that I have the disease. Okay, so that case is only 5%. If you test 100 people, only 5 people will get such results. Okay, so it's pretty good accuracy, right? And false negative. Okay, false negative. The test result is negative, but that is false. That means that I have the disease, but the test result is negative. Okay, that is 10%. That means if you test 100 people, 90 would get the correct result and only 10% will go wrong, which is also pretty good, right? So when I take a test and see that the result is positive, okay, I can be convinced that the test is highly accurate, right? But we'll see that the result is just the opposite. Okay, it is beyond our belief. Okay, so let's formulate this. Okay, so the first way to get the solution is using the tree. Okay, so we are defining 4 events. Okay, D plus, I have the disease. D minus, you do not have, sorry, I do not have the disease. Okay, T plus, I tested positive, and T minus, I tested negative. Okay. Now, what are we given? We are given what is the probability of D plus, okay? Because it says that the base rate, okay? Suppose the frequency of the disease in the population is 0.5%. Okay, so this is given. That means what? Frequency of the disease means that the number of people who are really deceased, okay, is just 0.5%. Okay, and that is what is this probability of D plus. Okay, so it is 0.5%, so you will get 0.005. Okay, and these two are complementary probabilities, right? If I know the probability of deceased people, then I know that the probability of people who are not deceased, right? So it is just 1 minus this quantity, which will give me 0.995, right? Now we are also given this probability of false positive. Okay, that means that my test result is positive, but I do not have the disease. Okay, and this is 5%, right? So it is 0.05. And false negative is I have got a negative result, but I have the disease, which is 10%. So it is 0.1. Okay, and we can compute their respective complementary probabilities, which is what is this quantity? T minus D minus. See, T plus is false, right? False, and this is positive. False because this is negative, right? So what is this? False. Sorry, not false. Okay, so this is true negative. Okay, because you do not have the disease, and the test results also have come as negative. Okay, so it is true negative. Okay, so which is 1 minus this quantity. Okay, so you get 0.95, and this is true positive. You have the I have the disease and I am tested positive. Okay, so it is complementary to false negative. So you'll get 1 minus 0.1, which is 0.9. Okay, so this is represented in this tree. Okay, so you divide the population first into two categories: people who do not have disease and people who have disease. Okay, so and we write probabilities in the branches, right? So with 0.995, people do not have disease, and with 0.005, people are deceased. Okay, now make a test of any individual in this population. The test result might come as positive or negative. Similarly, from the infected people, if you take the test, again you can get the result as positive or negative. Okay, so when the people do not have disease and it is test result is positive, okay, it is false positive, right? And that rate is 0.05, and that is what is given here. Okay, and similarly, when the people do not have disease and the result is negative, it is true negative, which is 0.95. Okay, or you can say that, see here, this probability is complementary to this branch. Okay, so if you know one value, this will be just 1 minus this value. If you know this value, this branch will be just 1 minus this value. Okay, and we are, any doubt? Okay, so we are given this value as 0.1, so we can compute that 1 minus 0.1 is 0.9. Okay. Now, what are we supposed to find? We are supposed to find what is the probability of, what are we supposed to find? We are given, I wanted to find this, right? The test result is positive. What is the probability that I am really deceased? Okay. So this is our consent. Okay. So how can we compute this? Using the Bayes formula, I can compute this using probability of not the disease into probability of having the disease divided by probability of the test result being positive. Okay, so that is the formula. Okay. So how can we compute this one? I wanted to have the ulta of this one. Okay, I wanted to find what is the probability of D plus. okay, given that the test is positive. Okay. So how can you find using this branch? Okay, so what are the quantities that we have here and what are the quantities we are given? Okay, so this quantity is given to us, right? Probability of, what is this quantity? True positive. We have computed this, right? People who are really deceased and the test result is positive. Okay, this we have computed and the value is here, it is 0.9, right? And what is the probability of the disease? It is also given and it is 0.005. Okay, so we have this numerator with us. And what is this probability of the test result being positive? Okay, so you can compute this using the tree. Okay, so there are two places where you get the test result to be positive. Okay, so you have to just multiply the probabilities along this branches. Okay, so you will get 0.995 into 0.05. This is one branch, plus you have 0.005 into zero point 0.9. Okay, so both together will contribute to the test result being positive, right? Yes or no? Because people who are not infected might also get the test result to be positive, and people who are infected will also get the test result to be positive. Okay, so you have to, what are we considering? The probability of the test result to be positive. So you have to consider both the branches of the tree, right? So you will get this one. Okay, so you get 0.995 into 0.05 plus 0.005 into zero point 0.9. Okay, so this is the probability of the test result being positive. Okay, so you just divide this and you will get. And what do you see? Okay, it is approximately 8.3%. So what is the conclusion? The test that is being conducted is very accurate test. Okay, with just with 5% false positive and 10%, right? Even then, okay, even if I am given the test result to be positive, okay, the trust on the test result is only 8.3%. Do you get this? Yes or no? Respond me just to know that I'm connected to you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so can we trust this test result? Will you trust? Suppose if you take a test and the test result turned to be positive, okay, so you need not trust the result because the worthiness to trust is only 8.3%. Okay, so we'll see two other ways and see how it is being visualized. I think then you will be better convinced. Okay. Okay. Now this is also one another way of illustrating. You will get much more convinced. Okay. So let's try the same solution using tables. Okay. So pick up a population size. Okay. This could be any number. Okay. Let's take 10,000. Okay. And out of 10,000, I know that 0.5% are really deceased. Okay. Just find out what is 0.5% of 10,000. What is it? 0.5 means it is 0.005, right? So if you multiply, how much you will get? 0.005 into 10,000. How much will you get?
50, ma'am.
50, right? Okay, thank you. So you get 50 to be the deceased people out of this 10,000, okay, and remaining people are not deceased, okay. So you simply subtract 50 from this 10,000 and you will get this number, and we tally this, okay. Now we'll consider the columns, okay. We know that, okay, the false positive is 5%, right? So out of this 50, okay, what is 5%? That's what we are worried about. Okay, out of this, sorry, this is false negative, right? False negative is test result is negative, but I have the disease. Okay, false negative is how much? It is 10%, right? False negative is 10%. So how much is 10% in 50? It is 5. Yes or no? 10% in 50
Yes, ma'am.
is only 5. So
Yes, ma'am.
remaining will be this one. So 1 minus 5, sorry, 50 minus 5 will be 45. Okay, these are the true positive results. Okay, and one another result that we know is we do not have the disease, but we are told that the test result is positive, right? It is false. What is given? False positive, right? This is what is given, right? Which is 5% of this one. Okay, and this turns out to be this number, and 1 minus this is this one. Okay, and you can compute the total and fill the results here. Okay, now again, okay, you can compute the same thing. Okay, the probability of the test result being we are given the test result is positive, and we wanted to know what is the probability that I am deceased. Okay, so it is test result is positive, I am deceased, and the test result is positive, the intersection, okay, divided by, so this is nothing but when you have intersection, you will have probability of d plus given t plus into probability of t plus, right? Or you can say, I mean, since we wanted this one, I can do the other way. Probability of t plus given d plus into probability of d plus divided by probability of t plus. Okay. And what is this part intersection? I have the disease and I have the test result positive. Okay. I have the disease and I have the test result positive. Okay. So intersection of this row and this column. Okay. Which is 45. Okay, and what is the denominator? Probability of the test result being positive. Okay, the test result is positive for this whole row. Okay, so I'll take this total, okay, which is 543. Again, I get the same 8.3 as the answer. Do you get that?
Yes,
Is
ma'am.
it fine? Yeah, good. Okay, so if you use these symbols, okay, you can directly compute. I mean, it is all, I mean, we are given part of the thing. So this is given to us, this is given to us, okay? And we can compute these things we can, I mean, this is also given to us, okay? This is also given to us. Okay, everything is given to us and we can simply substitute and find out that we arrive at the same 8.3, okay? The beauty of this problem is this one, okay? I love this so much, okay? See here, what is the problem? Okay, why we are getting, see, although the test is highly accurate, okay, why this result, okay, that when we mathematically compute, the probability badly fails. Okay, it says that the probability says that I should not consider or I should not trust the test result. Okay, why? Because is that this one. Okay, so remember when I started this slide, I think I said it is the base rate fallacy. Okay, that's the title that is given. Okay, and what is the base rate? base rate is 0.5. Okay, that is, we are trying to do the experiment on a very small population. Okay, the size of the population, it is like this. Okay, see, you are writing a test for 100 marks. Okay, and 50 is the pass mark. Okay, and so you will say it is 50%, 50 percentage is the pass mark, right? 50%. Suppose if I conduct the test for 10 marks, okay, you should score 5. Again, it is 50%, but is it one and the same? Writing the test for 100 marks and then scoring 50, and writing a test for just 10 marks and scoring 5. Although both of them we say that it is 50%, those 50% are not really the same, because the number of choices you will get when you write for 100 marks is really more. It is not directly comparable, although we can scale it. Do you understand the problem? It is more like that one. Okay, see, if you say, for example, for 10 marks I'm giving only 2 questions. Okay, or say I'm giving 4 questions, and at least you should score, 2, right or not? Okay, so if I give only 2 questions, at least 1 question you should be correct. Okay, so it narrows down. Can you see that? So when the size of the population, here the population is the number of questions, okay, the choices that you have to score. Okay, here the size of the population is the sample space that we are looking into. If that is really small, although the test may be very smart, okay, I cannot guarantee the test result. Even with this high accuracy, the result will be bad because of this population. Okay, population size. Okay, so that's what this diagram says. Okay, so you have a population. Okay, if you take the entire population as this blue and red bars together, and out of this, okay, only this much portion of the red part is infected people. Rest of them are all not infected, they are all healthy. Okay, and you are doing the test. Okay, and you have, see here, the part of the red is this shaded rectangular area. Okay, so part of red is covered, and most of the shaded part is in the blue, isn't it? Although the true positive rate is good, okay, only 10% is what, false negative, right? Although this is okay, this part is not good, right? Most of the people who are tested positive are actually healthy. Okay, this much part, they are healthy people, but the test result is positive. Okay, so this is a kind of nuisance test and annoying people. Okay, and such tests we need not trust at all. Okay, fine. Hope this, you will appreciate this, right? Yes or no? No, nobody is appreciating. Am I with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Any doubt in this? See, this is very, very important. Okay, see, there are many people now. Okay, when they do research, they forget to see this population size. Okay, see, although the result might be 90%, they report the accuracy. See, here also the accuracy of the system is so high. Okay, and the people do report this as the result. But how much is the population they have tested with, that really matters. Okay, that is what will decide the significance of these results. It's not that I just test with one or two people and say my device never failed. No. Okay, I should take really a large number of samples and test it. Okay. Okay, so random variables. Okay, so let's see, introduce random variables as some payoff functions. Okay, so this is a game. Okay, and you are going to tell me, I'll introduce two games. You are going to tell me which one will be the best. Okay, according to your opinion. Okay, so we are going to roll a die twice. Okay, and we will assume that the die is fair. Okay, and we are going to record the outcome of the die as I comma j. So the sample space will be 1 comma 1 to 6 comma 6. Okay, for all I comma j varying from 1 to 6. Okay, so 36 samples. Okay, so the probability of, if you take any pair, okay, it's going to be 1 by 36. Now let's uh, describe this payoff function. Okay, you will win $500 if the sum is 7. When you roll a die, okay, you get the sum of two dice. Okay, and if the sum is 7, you will win how much? $500. And suppose if you don't get a 7 as the sum, you will lose $100. Okay, and we will represent this function as x, and we say x of ij equal to 500 if I plus j is equal to 7, and minus 100 if I plus j is not equal to 7. Okay, so this is one game. Is it good to play this game? Anyone? I think many of you are playing many games, right? And how good or how safe it is to play this game? How will you decide that? Anyone? Yes or no question, right? Is this game safe to play?
No, ma'am.
Why?
Because there is a
Hmm.
only way to win. Some 7 இருந்தா மட்டும்தான் மேம் $500 கிடைக்கும்.
சரி. அது
ரிமைனிங் எது வந்தாலுமே $100 லாஸ் ஆகிட்டே போகும் மேம்.
அதனால என்ன?
இட்ஸ் நாட் ஃபேர்.
அது ஏன் இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் கரெக்ட், நீங்க சொல்றது கரெக்ட். மெயின் ஹூ இஸ் திஸ்?
ஜெகன் மேம்.
ஜெகன் கரெக்டா தான் சொல்றீங்க, பட் இன்னும் அத ஸ்ட்ராங் in how many times we can, when we roll a die out of this 36 combinations, okay, how many times we can get the sum to be 7? That is the question. 36 டைம்ஸ்ல ஃபேர்னு நம்ம நினைச்சா வச்சா கூட நமக்கு வந்து number of times we can get the sum to be 7 as relatively less compared to not equal to 7. சரிதானா? இது ஏற்கனவே we have seen this table, right? And we have assigned the sum of two dice. Okay, probability function. When we saw probability function, we have seen this. Okay, so you should come up with a probability and say the probability of getting this event. Okay, when we introduced event, I think we saw this example. So the probability of getting this event or the probability of this event is less compared to the probability of this event. Okay, so that's the answer. Good, Jagan, great. Okay. Now we will change the payoff function to this one. Okay, yij equal to ij minus 10. Okay, so if you roll 6 comma 2, you will win $2, and if you roll like this, you will lose $4. Now among the two, which one will you bet? Think about this. Okay,
Second.
Second one? Okay. Okay, so come with a justification in the next class, okay? For the sake of time, just think about it, okay? All that you should be able to do is that, okay, how much, I mean, how much is the loss, what is the probability of, getting a loss, and what is the probability that I will get a success, okay? So that's what you should calculate, okay? Yeah, of course, this is much better than the other, although the profit that we get might not be uniform. It's okay. Okay, safer to play, I guess. Okay. So random variables. So these are payoff. I mean, we have just introduced random variables in terms of payoff functions. Okay, whatever we have discussed, two payoff functions. Okay, those are the random variables. Okay, so random variables assign a number. Okay, to each outcome of the sample space. Okay, random variable is nothing but it is a function, okay, that assigns a number to each of the outcome in the sample space. So this is the formal definition. Let omega be the sample space. A discrete random variable is a function, okay, x defined from omega to r such that that takes a discrete set of values. Okay, so it is a mapping from the omega, the sample space. What is R? What is R? Real numbers. Okay, any real number axis. Okay, so although we call this as a variable, okay, we call this as a variable, but it is actually a function. Okay, and that will assign a number to each of the outcome. Okay, so that's all. Why x is called random variable? Because its randomness, it comes from the random outcome of the experiment. Okay, it depends. The value it is going to assign depend on the outcome, right? So that's why, and the outcome is random in the experiment. Okay, so that's why we call this as a random variable. Okay, events and random variables. For any value a, okay, we write x is equal to a to mean the event containing all outcomes omega with random variable of omega equal to a. Okay, see, this is a random variable. Omega is the outcome. Okay, and this is the event. Okay, if we write x is equal to a, that means that, see, the x is equal to a means this is what we mean. Okay, that is a set, isn't it? Whichever outcome is getting a value a, that will form a set. Okay, and whenever you have a subset of omega, that is the event. Omega in the sense capital omega, which is the sample space, right? So here is an example. I mean, the same example. Okay. So if I say event x is equal to 500, what is the set in for which combination of I and j will, whichever I'll get 7, that will be the event x is equal to 500. Okay, so it is 1 comma 6, 2 comma 5, 3 comma 4, and so on. Okay, and since there are 36 such paths, what is the probability of this event? This will be, how many pairs are there? You have 6 divided by 36, which is 1 by 6. Do you get that? Or you add like 1 by 36 plus 1 by 36 and so on. Okay. So what is the probability of x is equal to 1000? Anyone? Jagan, you wanted to give a try? What is the probability that, what is x is equal to 1000?
X equal
1000
to
here. See, if x is equal any, I can have any value, right? That a is here 1000. Right? When I say x is equal to 500, I just looked into the entry of 500 and saw what is the event that is corresponding to it. Now, when I say x is equal to 1000, okay, I do not have an entry for 1000 here, right? So, what will be the answer?
0, ma'am.
0, exactly. Sandhya, great, Sandhya, you are doing fantastic. Okay. So, here,
Ma'am, it's Padmini, ma'am.
Padmini, sorry, Padmini, fantastic. You really did, okay. So you
Thank you, ma'am.
deserve something actually. Okay, so actually what we get for x is equal to 1000 is null set. Okay, and the probability, since we do not have any element, the probability associated with that is 0. Okay, great. Okay, so the probability mass function, okay, is a discrete random variable. Probability mass function of a discrete random variable is the function p of a, which actually means probability of x is equal to a. Okay. So we have this probability of a line between this 0 and 1. Okay. We allow a to be any number. So it is actually the definition of random variable. Do you see that? So if a is a value that x never takes, then p of a is equal to 0. Okay. So let's again consider the same sample space for rolling 2 dice, and we note down the answer in I comma j format. Let's define the random variable m I comma j to be the max of I comma j. Now, what are the values that this event can take? The maximum among I comma j is the valid value this random variable can take, right? So it can have from 1 to 6, okay, and any value beyond this one will get the 0 probability. And how do you compute this P of A? So out of this, how many will get 1 as the maximum? How many pairs will get 1 as maximum? So when you have 1 comma 1, you will get 1 as maximum, right? So for 2, you will get 1 comma 2, 2 comma 1 and 2 comma 2. Okay, so you have 3 pairs among 36, which will get this 2 as maximum and so on. Okay, and this is the probability mass function. Okay, probability mass function will assign the probability for each of the probability of P of 2.
3 by 36, ma'am.
3 by 36, great. And what is probability of 8?
0, ma'am.
0, good. Okay. And events and inequalities, okay. If our sample space is the set of all pairs I comma j coming from rolling 2 dice, and we define the random variable zij equal to I plus j is the sum of the dice, then this is an event. Okay, this is the random variable and this is the event. Okay, we say z taking values less than or equal to 4. Okay, so this is the set that will, you know, satisfy this condition. And if you add the probabilities of all these events, you will get the probability of this inequality as well. Okay. And this inequality and cumulative distributive function are closely related. The cumulative distributive function, CDF, of a random variable x is the function f given by f of a equal to p of x less than or equal to a. Okay, whenever we say cumulative distributive function, we actually define the probability of the random variable taking value less than or equal to the value that we provide. Okay, so the same maximum of two, values of the dice. Okay, we have a. This is PMF, that is probability mass function, and the cumulative distribution function will be for 1. It will be the same thing. For 2, you will add the probability of this plus this. That will give you this one. Okay, and this will be this value. You will add these two things and you will get this one. Okay, you will add these two things and you will get this one. Okay, and you can see that, okay, this cumulative distributive function, okay, is a monotonically increasing function. Okay, so this example that I have taken for PMF is also monotonically increasing, but that need not be the case. Okay, it need not be monotonically increasing, but this one, it is strictly monotonically increasing because I get the next. What is monotonically increasing? Suppose if I have a function like this, is this monotonically increasing? Take some function, okay, or the sine wave. Is it monotonically increasing? Some function, any function, okay, say this is time and this is some amplitude, something. I don't mind what the axis is. What about this function? This one. See,
Ma'am.
monotonically, yeah, anyone who wanted to try?
Yes, ma'am. It's monotonically
Yes,
missing.
ma'am. It is monotonic.
Which is monotonically? I have 4 functions here now. What about this one?
Ma'am.
I'll ask.
Sine wave.
Yeah. Is monotonically increasing?
Yes, ma'am.
What about this one?
Yes, ma'am.
This one?
Yes, ma'am.
This?
No, ma'am. The previous one not.
This also no, this also no.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so Sandhya? Is
Yes,
this
ma'am.
Sandhya? Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
Sandhya, you have just, said the other way around, okay? See, what is monotonically increasing? You know what is increasing, right? Increasing means it increases. Monotonically means it's just one way. If it increases, it keeps on increasing. It never comes back. Okay, so with increase and decrease, mono means one, right? Mono means one. So monotonic means I just go in one direction. I keep on increasing, monotonically increasing. I'm moving in the direction of increasing. Is it okay or not? Okay. So this function is monotonically increasing. This function, okay, we always draw the axis like this. So from, if you take this to be the origin, this is monotonically decreasing. Okay. And these two functions, they don't follow the monotonicity because they have increased, decreased, and might be that it is increasing here. I do not know. Okay, so monotonic means either I should be increasing or decreasing. Okay, and this CDF is monotonically increasing because if I plot this, okay, so this is 1 by 36, 4 by 36 will be above this 1 by 36, 9 by 36 will be above, because I keep on adding this, right? I get this value from this one, right? And sorry, by adding this and this, right? And this one, I will add with this one to get this one, and so on. Okay, so since I get the next value from the addition of its current probability plus the previous one, because we are considering the less than or equal to, what is the probability that I'll get the maximum to be 2, less than or x less than or equal to 2. So I have to include 1 and 2. Okay, when I say less than or equal to 4, I have to include the probability of x being 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so I keep on increasing, I keep on adding. Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Okay, so these are the properties of CDEF. Okay, so it is non-decreasing, or I should say it is monotonically increasing. Okay, so in the graph it never goes down. Okay, symbolically, if I say A is less than or equal to B, then for sure I know that the cumulative distributive function f of A is less than or equal to B. Okay, and okay, so this is emphasized further by this one. Okay, increase it to infinity, the cumulative distribution. And similarly, if I decrease the value of A till minus infinity, the cumulative distributive function will not go below 0. Okay, so that is, it is strictly between the 0 and 1. Okay. Okay, so final is an exercise. Okay, so with this we are closing. Okay, x is a random variable. Okay, and the values that x can take, okay, are these things. Okay, and you are given the cumulative distributive function. Okay, what is p probability of the random variable less than or equal to 3? Anyone? What is the probability? What is the answer for the first question? Probability of x less than or equal to 3. Yes?
0.
0?
0.75, ma'am.
0.75. Good. Padmini, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Good, good. What about this one? If you tell this right, you are on the right track.
0.75, ma'am. No,
What
ma'am. No,
about
ma'am. Sorry,
the
ma'am.
second one?
Yes, ma'am. 0.75, ma'am.
Why? Or how? So what we are given is cumulative distributive function, right? So when I give this value 0.75 here, okay, it is of x equal to 3. So less than or equal to 3 will also include 1.
0.25, ma'am.
0.25, exactly. Who is this?
Jagan, ma'am.
Jagan, great Jagan. Okay, so you have to subtract this one, okay, because I just want equal to 3. Okay, and this value is less than or equal to 3, which also includes the probability of 1. Okay, so I'll subtract. See, how do I get this 0.7? I should have added this with a probability of 3 to get this one. Right or not? That's how we got. Okay, I added this with something here, which is the probability of 3, which will be given by the probability mass function. Okay, and I'll get this 0.5. And we are asking for this quantity. Understood, Padmini?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Okay, have a great night. Okay, thank you. Any doubt? I'm done. Okay, if there are no doubts, thank you. Good night. Bye bye.